Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be talking about Freakier Friday. Alright, so the year is 2003 and Disney decided to remake one of their movies again, and they decided to put out a third remake of Freaky Friday, this time with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. No one knew back then that this would happen, as 22 years later they decided to make a sequel, Freakier Friday, not a reboot, but a full-fledged sequel, not a legacy sequel, a full-fledged sequel. And of course, we all know why Disney decided to do this. It's because of money reasons. But I have to say that Freakier Friday, even though it feels incredibly unnecessary, and even after watching this still feels incredibly unnecessary, there's still a lot of fun to be had with this one. It's not an awful movie. It's still very, very fun. There are some problems with it, and I will be talking about those. But let's first talk about all of the good things about this. And even though I am not the biggest fan of Jamie Lee Curtis, I do think her movies or her portrayals in her roles are often a little bit over the top. I do think it was a little bit over the top in Everything Everywhere All at Once, which got her an Oscar. I do think she is a little bit over the top in the Halloween franchise, even with the first one. I do think she's just a little bit too much at times, and she is incredibly much in this film. She is very apparently there, and I have to say that in this one, it just perfectly made sense. She was by far the funniest out of all of them. She was incredible in this role, and I loved every single piece of dialogue that they gave Jamie Lee Curtis because she was so incredibly funny. She made me howling with laughter quite a few times in this one. It was genuinely fun seeing her talk about being old as someone else, and the way that she portrays it is incredibly great. And this movie has a lot of funny jokes that actually do really work. There are some criticism with that though, because some of these jokes work incredibly well because they play off of each other so incredibly well, because they play off of these character dynamics so incredibly well. But also a thing I had with the first Freaky Friday, and I also had with this one, is that after a while it just gets confusing, and I continuously needed to remind myself of who was now switched to whose body, because these jokes are great, but they are a little bit on the surface to make sure that the younger audiences also really laugh really hard with it. So I was a little bit confused on who and what and where we were in the story at some points because of the jokes and the way that they are being told. Another criticism I have that coincides with that is that this movie was supposed to be a Disney Plus original instead of having a theater release, but you know, a lot of movies flop, so they needed some quick cash, so they decided to put this one in a movie theater. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Moana 2, but instead of first having a series that they cut into a movie, they now have a movie that they just got put out on the big screen instead of putting it out on their little streaming service. But there is a difference between movies that are being made for the movie theater and movies that are being made for streaming. With streaming, the rules are not that hard. You make a movie, you put it out online, and it's okay. You have to make the movie great, you have to make the movie good and short, but you can also make a 5-hour long movie and it will not even care about anything, because you can just pause the movie, do what you want, and go back to the movie whenever you want to. In a movie theater, that is not the case. In a movie theater, you have to perfectly think about the pacing, you have to perfectly think about the runtime, you have to perfectly think about everything else concerning the length of your film, because attention spans are not what they are used to, which is also another criticism I have with this one. But you know, attention spans aren't really there, so you really need to have a tightly paced, neat little movie, especially with comedy like this. It doesn't need to be over long, and this one oversteps its length by tons, by miles. This one probably is half an hour too long. It could have trimmed down half an hour to get the neat runtime, and it didn't. The movie would have been far greater as a 90-minute movie or even an 85-minute long movie. Take a look at the Naked Gun remake. I still have yet to see that one, so I will not talk about it. Maybe I will talk about that in a different way when I will talk about the Naked Gun, but that is an 85-minute movie and people are raving about its comedy. This one is almost 2 hours long and people are not raving about its comedy because it's so incredibly overlong and it oversteps its welcome way too long, which made sure that for me and probably also for a lot of other people, in the end felt more like a chore to get through instead of a fun sequence and instead of a fun third act. It felt like, okay, please get it on, I want to go home. My mother has made chicken and I need to eat the chicken. Something like that. The movie is way too long. What I meant with the overstepping on the centuries and just making this movie overly fast-paced and, oh, well, I forgot the word again. I haven't slept in 40 hours. The short attention spans. This movie definitely felt like it was made for the younger audiences, the TikTok audiences that have an attention span of about 7 seconds. Because in the first half of this movie, when they try to get the story going, when they try to explain everything to you, like, okay, these are the characters, this is what's going to happen, this is how it happens, and now they are here and here and here and here, and these are the dynamics that we need to tackle in this movie. Here's everything you need to know. Because the movie has too many characters with the addition of 2 extras that also switch up the bodies this time, you also make sure that there's a lot to unpack before you can actually get to the good stuff of the movie, the switcheroo parts, which made sure that the beginning of this movie and the first act also kind of feels like a chore because you just want them to get on with it and they don't because they need to explain a lot. And to get the attention spans going, they made it as funny as they possibly could, but also as fastly paced as they possibly could, that in the end you are genuinely really confused as to what is happening, why it's happening, and how it's happening. But still, I did like Freakier Friday for what it did, and most of that is going to do with the portrayal of Jamie Lee Curtis, who absolutely nails this role. Lindsay Lohan absolutely nails this role after stepping back into it after 22 years. It's just that she's not as memorable as Jamie Lee Curtis was in this one. This one definitely feels like it's Jamie Lee Curtis's movie, and it does so in the best way possible. All right? I am going to give this one 3.5 stars and a heart because I still liked it for what it was. I did think it was a little bit overlong, but it was funny enough. In the end, I'm going to give Freakier Friday 3.5 stars. It may be overlong and it may overstep its welcome quite a bit, but still the jokes worked really well and I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I laughed out loud and I had fun going to see this movie in America, in the Disney El Capitan Theater on the Hollywood Boulevard, by the way. Just keep that in mind. I watched in the official Disney movie theater in the world. Alright, thank you guys for watching. What did you think of this one? Please let me know in the comments down below because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it. I want to thank you for watching and I'd like to see you in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.